Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Intrusive Thoughts. I'm your host, Adam Rippon. All right, before we even kind of get into anything else on this episode, we have to talk about what's going on in Minnesota. Like, it's absolute chaos. It is absolute chaos. These ICE agents are going around. They're total thugs. They're just thugs. They're ripping people off the street. They're shooting people dead in the street. This is absolute, insanity. This administration is such a joke. They're liars. They're actual felons and criminals. Hello, these people are criminals. These ICE agents, people in this administration, they need to see the inside of a jail cell. This is unconstitutional. This is unreal. This is, I also believe, just a test to see how far that they can go. It's just, everything about this is terrifying. It's frightening. You see those images of what's going on. And these are images of what you'd imagine what would be happening in the Soviet Union, right? People are exercising their freedom of speech, that they're out here and they're protesting peacefully. And these total idiot buffoons, these idiot untrained people, they don't understand the law. They're trying to walk into foreign embassies. I mean, it is unbelievable. It is so unbelievably scary and wrong. And I don't understand anybody who could be supporting this. We're supposed to be this free country and the best country in the world. And it's do you really feel that we live even in a livable place where if you don't comply that you get shot in the head? You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be absolutely just kidding me. You cannot be serious. You need to take such a good hard look in the mirror. Even when it was before it was this violence on the American people in front of our eyes. Another thing that makes me so upset and so I feel so unsettled by it, of this is what we see them do in the middle of the day in front of a ton of people, with everyone having their phone out filming everything. This is what they do in front of us, right? What are they doing to the people in the detention centers when nobody's watching, or nobody can even find some of these people, right? You have family members trying to find different family members, and these people are being flown to different detention centers. You have a 2-year-old girl who was deported. You have a 5-year-old boy who was used as bait. These little kids are going to these detention centers. Are you okay with that? Do you think that's okay? That these total untrained idiots are out here ripping people off the streets? And it all started with we're getting the criminals, we're getting the rapists, we're getting all of these people, and they're going after us. They're going after everybody, right? They're going after everybody. They don't care. They don't know. They don't care. They do not care. This is so unsettling. This is so bad. It is so bad. There is no way around it. And, when something like this happens, it's always like, okay, we've got to vote these like people out. Like, what are we going to do? We have to like exercise our rights. We need to go. We need to call our senators. I tried to call my senators. I called that fucking stupid fucking number that everybody's talking about. And I called the Senate, like the whatever line, and they direct you to a senator. My call gets disconnected every time I go. They said that they're going to connect me to my senator's office. It just beep, beep, beep. Like, that's what I get. I'm going to keep trying. Hopefully that means that thousands and thousands and hopefully millions of people are calling in, because what is happening right now in this country is like unbelievably bad. I really tried my best to see people's point of view when they voted for Donald Trump again in this election. I really did. And I just, for the life of me, cannot figure it out. I don't know how you spin this. I don't know how you make this into something of like, this is exactly what we thought would happen. I hope that those people live in so much guilt right now, because this is so bad. This is so bad. And like I was saying, I'm so upset by all of this, by the way. So like I was saying, that like the next step is always people go and they say like, we have to vote these people out. We have to. The midterms are coming up. We need to, get ourselves together. We need to figure this out. We need to vote these people out. I agree, right? I totally agree. I think the problem is that, like, don't you think that they're just seeing how far they can go, and that they're going to deploy all of these ICE agents to all of these like voting and polling places for the sake of having, I say completely in quotes, a fair election to prevent fraud? That I can 100% imagine happening. They're going to intimidate people out of voting. That's how they will try to rig the election. They will intimidate people to not leave their homes so that they don't vote, so that they do not vote. Right? That's the plan. I can assume, like, what do I know, right? But if you see what's going on right now, I would assume that why wouldn't they just do this during the midterms? Right? That's what is also terrifying. Like, that's the last step of, like, we don't live in a democracy anymore. You know, when people aren't getting voted in by the people, when people are afraid to go out and vote. Have you ever wondered why Vladimir Putin has like an 85% approval rating? Right? It's not because he's doing such like an amazing job. Like, he's just doing such amazing work over there. Like, that's not the case. People are afraid to say anything against the government. Right? Like, they're afraid to go against Vladimir Putin, so they would rather say that they think that he's doing an amazing job. That's why he has an 84 or 85% approval rating. Right? At least we aren't there yet, but that's a pretty low bar. You know, I have a big mouth. And I'm not afraid to like speak up about things that I think are important. And I'm not afraid to not speak and let other people speak when like I'm not the voice that should be heard, right? But in this case, I think like we all need to speak up. Everybody needs to speak up. This is like so bad. This is so wrong. It's impossibly wrong. And just like, I am thinking about like the absolute irony of like, in a week's time, I'll be in Italy at the Olympic Games and like wearing a bunch of American flags, right? Like, I don't I'm going to say this, that when you're an athlete, this makes it very confusing, right? Especially if like this is something that you think is bad and wrong. And it makes it really hard to represent your country when you don't agree with what's happening to it. But when I think of representing my country, I think of all the people who are out there and they're protesting and they're standing up for their neighbors and they're speaking out about what's not right and what's wrong and things that need to change. And I think about focus on those American values that like, that's what I think being American is all about. You know, another thing about like Team USA is that like there is no like sports aren't funded by the government at all. It's all like private sponsorships. So when athletes do speak out, a lot of times some of the hate that they'll get can be, give all the money that you've ever gotten back from the government, like back. You should do that. And the thing is that the U.S. government doesn't give any of those athletes money. So they should feel free to be able to speak up about things that they want to speak up about. I mean, then like insult to injury is that JD Vance and Marco fucking Rubio, those two losers, are going to Milan as well. And they're bringing ICE agents with them, which is obviously just like this symbolic whatever. Like, what pathetic little boys, losers. Same people who are like, I'm not going to wear a mask. Show my COVID card, show that I'm vaccinated. No, awful. No, not going to do it. But then are like, yeah, I'll show all of my document. I'll carry around all of my birth certificate, my social security card, all of this stuff. It wasn't about like your rights. It was about like, you don't have any empathy and you're a little beta fucking bitch who wants to have some sort of big daddy tell you what to do. Like, you just want to submit to authority. You just weren't interested in having any empathy for your neighbor. Right? That should say something about like those people who I know some of those people who are just like so like, I don't want to wear a mask. And that like, this whole thing, I'm like completely at a loss for words. Probably should have like prepared some sort of like something to say, but I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to just like speak about what is like on my mind and what's bothering me and just like speak from the heart about this. But it all feels like a complete like distraction, right? Like this is a distraction from releasing the Epstein files. Like Donald Trump is a criminal, by the way. Like he is a felon. He is a criminal. He is in the file. Like if he's not in the files, if there's nothing damning in there about him, just release them. What the fuck would he care? Right? Why would he care? But he obviously does because he's in there. So this is like all to distract from all of this like other bullshit. Crime. Total criminal. And then like Pam Bondi and Christy Nome, like those two witches. God, like I don't understand. Like I really don't understand like the point of view of these people. Like I just don't understand how they can be like okay with it. I'm so not okay with it that I like truly cannot understand how somebody can be like, well, you know, like it's got to be done. What do you mean this is like got to be like what? And also it's like they're like going to find these people. They're going through like tax records. Okay, so you were upset that these people weren't paying taxes, but like they were. And so now, like, if they weren't, you wouldn't be able to find their information through the tax records. So, like, what is it? These are just like white supremacists. These are like white supremacist, like, talking points and everything. Like, this is happening in real fucking time, everybody. This is happening in real time. These people, these ICE agents, are acting without any sort of fear of accountability. They need to be held accountable. Some of them need to be charged with murder, by the way, aggravated assault. They're going up to different protesters saying, you know, oh, I scanned your face and now you're considered a domestic terrorist. Excuse me? So now you can't go to a protest. You can't film anything in public. Hello, everybody, like, wake up. This is how they take your rights away. They don't want you to have rights. Hello, I'm like shaking my fucking whole house. You guys, this is not, this isn't a good situation. I don't know how else to put this. I'm sure I will bounce around back and forth, right? And I hope that the majority of the people that listen to this feel the same way. And if not, hello, it's like, how about you wake the hell up? Okay. Listen, there's so much, like, we all needed some levity. So I'm going to try to, make it a little bit lighter, and I'm probably going to go back to it because I'm riled the hell up. Okay. But before I started recording this episode, I want to know that what also put me in a bad mood is I had the most disgusting piece of chicken before this. And so it did not help. You know, it did not help to put me in a positive state of mind, you know, at all. You know, it did not help to put me in a state some Tyson. Okay, that's the brand. I don't care. Dox them. Dox the brand. It was some like buffalo chicken, whatever. It looked really good on like it was a frozen piece of chicken. Then I put it into the air fryer, whatever. Nobody's perfect. Put it in there. And I got to tell you, it was the most disgusting thing. And I powered through it. I don't know why. I was treating it. It was like, I need the protein. No, I don't. God, it's just like one more thing. This is how it happens, everybody. This is how it happens. Slowly, one step at a time, and then we're all too scared to say anything. Even like I was saying before, even me, I have a big mouth. And there's parts of my brain where like the sensors go off and it's like, should you really say that? Should I really say fucking what? Right? Like, should I really say like I don't agree with like what the administration is saying, or fuck ICE? Should I be afraid to say this stuff? Is like something that like goes through my head. Why should I be afraid? Right? That's like a signal. That's like an alarm in my own brain that like sometimes when I'm thinking about saying something, I'm like, oh, should I do that? And it's not like I'm not afraid of the repercussions, because if there's somebody out there who's like not okay with what I'm saying, I think what I'm saying is totally fair. Right? That I don't think that like, I don't like I don't like families being ripped apart. I don't like peaceful protesters being like pushed and assaulted to the ground. I don't like peaceful protesters or people who are like not aggravating or interrupting fucking investigations or whatever the fuck they're fucking talking about, getting shot in the head. Shot in the head, everybody. Okay? Not good. Okay, I really am trying my best to like lighten it up a little bit. Let's do a text message. Ugh. God, and also the way you guys, they're all losers. They're fucking losers. Losers won't show their fucking ugly ass faces. Come on. If you are like refusing to like show your face while you're doing this stupid fucking, the devil's fucking work, right? If you are afraid to show your face, yeah, maybe that's a sign that you know that what you're doing is fucking bad. Fucking loser. Loser. Go fuck yourself. You are a loser. I hope you don't have a moment of peace the rest of your fucking life. Loser. Losers. Horrible. Okay, I'm going to a text message. Okay. Adam, my boyfriend and I just turned on Worst Cooks in America, and you would not believe the screech I let out when you showed up on the screen. Please tell us about your experience on this show and if Chef Jeff was hot in person. Okay. One, I will tell you that being on Worst Cooks was one of the most fun things I've like ever been able to do. I had an amazing time. It was like it was like having a cooking lesson. Okay. Like it was phenomenal. It was great. And is Chef Jeff hot in person? Yeah. That's the Sandwich King, right? That was like my teacher. So yes, he is hot in person and he is a good chef. I would even go as far as a great chef. Chef Antonia is also amazing too. They were both great. Like we had so much fun. I know everybody had fun on that show with everybody. Yeah, they did. Everybody had fun. We're all having fun. Everybody's having fun. La, 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 la. And also, okay, back to this ICE bullshit. They're also trying to lie to you, everybody. They're trying to lie to you. They're like, here's the footage. And then they're telling you what happened. Like they're telling you not to believe what you're watching. Right? Like all of these different video angles all show that like ICE is the aggressor in all of this. Christy, no. Go home. Oh, somebody needs to hose her down. Hose her down. Clean her off. Send her home. Like, please, she like should not have this job. She should be like the head of an HOA. That's the maximum like responsibility that woman should ever have. Total buffoon. Ugh, terrible. Pam Bondi is a villain. She is a villain. Not also like Marco Rubio is like total spineless piece of shit. Like he is so all of those people. I will never forget the 2016 presidential election where Donald Trump basically went up there and pointed at each one of them one by one and talked shit about them and their entire families. And like he read them fucking down. And that these people would like even, and this is like, listen, like in politics, I get it that like, I even remember Kamala Harris during the primaries with Biden, where she had that one like zinger of a line of like, and I was the girl on that bus, right? Like she had that zinger and then like, oh, then she's going to run with Biden. Okay. Yeah. But like, she didn't tell Joe Biden like that is like his wife looked like a fucking monster and he was the biggest idiot in the fucking world. Like that, like he took it so personal and that like these sick freaks, Ted Cruz, freak. I cannot believe Marco Rubio, not Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, JD Vance. Oh, JD Vance, Marco Rubio, head of the athlete delegation, heading to Milan with ICE. Now I am going to hold my tongue for a minute because they announced the athlete delegation. I'm going to hold my tongue because I don't know how that gets announced. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so I am willing to see this through. Okay. And I don't know if the athletes who get announced to this like know anything. I don't know who's supposed to be going there with them. If whatever, I don't know that process. Okay. I have no idea of that process. So I will refrain on making any comments on the athletes who are in the athlete delegation, who are going to Milan, who will be at the opening ceremony with JD Vance, may I remind you, and Marco Rubio. Hubmana what? Marco loser fucking Rubio. They're all losers. They're just bullies. Like, they just are bullies and liars. You guys. And then people were like, but I can't afford eggs. You still can't. Donald Trump is trying to take over Greenland. Do you think that the European Union, if we invade Greenland, you guys, it's really over. It's the end. Right? It is over. It's the end. Do you think Europe will like respond well to that? Like, oh, I guess they need it. No. Nobody wants the United States to invade Greenland. Nobody wants that. Except Donald Trump. And then you have like Megyn Kelly being out here being like, well, I'm actually pretty sure I might be seeing some sort of something. Like, whatever. Go back to that Halloween where you put black shoe polish on your face and then you told everybody you didn't know it was blackface and wrong. God. Caroline Leavitt is going to crack. I'm just going to say it. She's going to crack, you guys. You can only lie so many days in a row before and she knows what she's doing. Okay. Some of these people I do believe are just like, they are brainwashed. I just I can see that there's like a glimmer in her eye where it's like she knows that she's like gaslighting and she loves it. Right? But she's going to crack. This is cracking her. Okay. This whole episode is going to be like, this is a disaster mess, ramble, rumble, tumble. Like, I get it. I understand, but like, I just feel like I need to talk it out with us. We need to talk it out. Like, this is crazy. I am going to tell you, I am still telling you, my call would not go through to my senator. So when I'm done recording this, I'm going to call again. Oh, I hope that like everybody out there is like, you are taking care of yourselves. Okay. But right now, everybody has to speak up or we will not be able to ever again. And I don't think I'm being dramatic. I mean, can't be any more dramatic than like literal government agents ripping people off the street. Let me say it again, shooting people in the fucking head, threatening people that they're gonna like, if they don't shut up, they're gonna take their voice away. Like, you know, like they're just threatening people. They're threatening people. These are like GED failing fucking nerds. Like the lowest of the low. These ICE agents. They are terrible. All right. We have to do another text message. Like I said, I'm doing like my best to kind of, and why are they going to Milan? Right? Like the mayor of Milan doesn't want them there either. Right? And like if all these agents are masked, so we must assume that they are all murderers, right? Because they won't identify themselves. We have no idea who are these trigger happy agents. Like we don't know anything about anything. These people are like not trained, which is probably the point because they want this to be like absolutely chaotic and they want complete chaos. So what is next? Like when, like, all right, let's do another text message. All right, where I'm going through them right now. Usually I would go through them beforehand and just like move them over to like a file. Is this, I'm sorry that this like episode is so like all over the place, but it's just, this is like what I'm thinking and feeling, and I just don't like any of what's happening right now. Okay, I need to take a breath. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's a text message that pretty much aligns with what we're talking about right now. Fuck ICE. Love it so far. Please acknowledge what is happening with ICE in Minnesota. It isn't okay. Nothing is fine. They are kidnapping and disappearing children. Yes. Like I said, a 2-year-old girl and a 5-year-old little boy. Those are the criminals that we need off the street. That 5-year-old, that 2-year-old might not remember anything. That 5-year-old is going to be terrorized the rest of their fucking lives. We need more people with platforms to stand up, please. If people are telling you to be quiet because of the Olympics, that proves how desperately we need strong voices. Nobody's telling me to be quiet. You've spoken out before, you can do it again. If Team USA athletes don't take a stand in the largest stage in the world, what's the point? I mean, I will tell you that if I were going, I would say something. But I think also we need to think of like these athletes, and there can be reasons why some of them don't like speak up. Because it's easy for me to go, if I were going, I would say something. I'm white. My family is white. And and the majority of my family does not live in a big major city. Okay. Some of these athletes live in major cities and their parents are like first generation American. If they don't want to say something because they don't want the fucking ICE at their front door ripping their family out of their house. So I don't think every athlete should feel obligated to say something. And it's also like so fucking, like, this is what's so fucking sick and twisted is that like these athletes work their entire fucking lives for this moment. And now their big moment needs to be about these fucking losers. It isn't fair. And so I don't know if it's like the responsibility of the athletes, but I think it's the responsibility of everyone. Like, I am going to say something. If there are repercussions to like saying what I'm saying, right? Like I am just calling it like I am seeing it. Then that's really too bad. I guess I'll just figure it out on the other side if there are repercussions to it. But I just don't, I think that this is just too big and too important not to like talk about. So I can tell you that like if I were competing, what I would say, and there are other athletes who have already spoken out and, you know, just a simple fuck ICE, right? But this administration there is something so much darker with this second Trump term, so much darker than the first. There is something much darker and it's much scarier. It really is. I've just got to be so honest about that. It is scarier. I think the people that are still continuing to defend him are like at this moment in time, totally a lost cause. I just don't see, if this isn't the breaking point, whatever will be. And I find that quite disheartening and terrifying and scary. And, another thing we always think about, like, what happened to like how many January 6thers do you think are ICE agents now? I would say probably a lot of them, right? Like, wow, I wonder where those people went. Like, a lot of these people are probably like, are so afraid they want to uprise against the government, like a tyrannical government. Now they are the tyranny, by the way, right? Like, now they are the tyrant. They are the tyrannic government of which they were so afraid of. Okay. Here we go. Another question from a text message. From one of our listeners, we have, at this point, do you think the U.S. should be banned from this Olympic Games? God. Okay. So let's just talk about this for a second. So So the IOC put a ban on Russian athletes following the Olympics in Beijing 4 years ago. And that is because the Russian government had they had started like this they started the war in Ukraine, and they what is the word? Oh my God, what is the word? They something the Olympic truce. They were not paying attention. Oh my God, hold on a second. I'm sad, violated. Sorry, that was the word I was trying. They violated the Olympic truce. So the Olympic truce is that it spans from the 7 days before and the 7 days after, the 7 days before the Olympics, 7 days after the Paralympics, and that basically the International Olympic Committee doesn't believe that they have the power to stop wars. But they do believe that the Olympics is an event of peace, and that no nation should ever use the Olympic or Paralympic Games as a distraction to start wars or acts of oppression, right? In addition to that, sports is funded by the government in Russia. And so when they invaded Ukraine, this was also like the third violation of the Olympic truce that they've done. It was unprecedented that any country would actually violate the Olympic truce. But in 2008, during the Beijing Olympics, they let's just figure out the timeline of everything. And we'll look it up together, because they did something in 2008, 2014, and 2022. Russia Olympic truce violations 2008. Let's figure out what we are talking about. Yes. Okay. So in 2008, they initiated an invasion of Georgia the same day of the opening ceremony. Okay, that was 2008. In 2014 was Crimea. Okay, in 2022 it was the invasion of full scale invasion of Ukraine. So this was the third time that the Russian government had invaded a country during the Olympic Games. So that was a complete violation of the Olympic truce. Now, not to defend the United States, believe me, I'm not. But it feels like a double standard. But this is these ICE raids are happening inside of the country. And, that whole like the Venezuelan president was like not within these like 7 days before and after. And then the third point being that like the American athletes aren't funded by the government, right? Like they're not a part or an extension of the United States government. That when U.S. athletes go to the Olympics, that they represent themselves and they represent their families and sponsors, coaches, whatever, right? But the government did not fund them, and they weren't given any money by the government unless they serve in the military. Okay, because there are different like athletic programs athletes can apply for, but unless they did that, then they have no affiliation with the U.S. government. Now, there are neutral athletes, and I'm not avoiding the question of like, should America go? I mean, based on what I'm saying, I feel like there's precedent for the American athletes to compete and to go. Obviously, they're going, right? So I think that the American athletes, I think they should be allowed, they shouldn't be banned, right? Like, I don't think the American athletes should be banned based on like they aren't funded by the government, and that the United States at this point is not violating the Olympic truce. I mean, if the United States were to violate the Olympic truce, then like there is, there's no grounds of why they should not like be banned as well. And they totally should be, because if that's the standard we're holding Russia to, it's the same standard that we should be held to as well. But I am just giving a little bit of background of like, you think of the different conflicts and wars and invasions going on of like Israel and Gaza. And why is the Israeli team allowed to be competing? And, I remember this even big thing about like Eurovision and people protesting Israel being there. And like this Russian ban based on the invasion of Ukraine is all because of the Olympic truce. If you remember, people were quite upset. Now we're not even talking about war, that like the Russians had a full fucking doping scandal in 2014. They had been running like a full-fledged like replacing their own athletes' pee with like clean pee, urine, by the way, so that they would have negative doping tests, because they were doping all of their fucking athletes. And that didn't get them kicked out of anything. Right? They were still allowed to compete, and they just had to compete under like a neutral flag. They continued to do that. And then there's another fucking doping test in 2022. And there was going to be no punishment for it. I guarantee you there would have been just another slap on the wrist. The Russian flag would have been banned for another Olympics, and we just go on, like continue to cheat with no fucking repercussions. And this like the invasion of Ukraine and this like third violation of the Olympic truce, where like nobody had done anything. This was like the last straw. And that's what I believe. That it was, in 2022, there was a huge like doping scandal. Like if you're a figure skater and you listen to this podcast, you obviously know I'm talking about Kamila Valieva. She was a 15-year-old girl, 15 years old, had a positive doping test. This is in 2022. This is when the Russians were still banned from competition. They were still banned from the Olympics. They were not allowed to compete under their own flag at this point, okay? Not allowed to compete under their own flag because of doping. And one of their gold medal favorite athletes in one of the most popular winter sports is found to be doping. So that was incredibly infuriating to be there and just be like, there's no consequences. And then on top of that, then they invade Ukraine, and it was sort of like the last straw of like, I just don't think that like people could turn a blind eye anymore. Be like, no, we're going to sanction them or we're going to punish them. It was like, that was the last straw. I mean, it's unprecedented that like a country is being banned from the Olympics like this. Like it really is. But I think there are just, I don't know. That's just, I'm laying it out as that, right? Like, I don't know if there's like a right or wrong answer. The only thing I do know is that the Olympics should be a place of peace. And like, why are we bringing ICE agents who have no jurisdiction over where they're going, right? Like, who are going there basically as like fucking like traveling theater actors to do what? Like, they're going to help out. You're going to what? These uncultured people are going to help out with what? Like, it's just like, it's like a show. This is why I'm holding my tongue for those athletes in the delegation, because I'm just like, let me see how you're going to play this out. I will reserve my judgment or anything of what I'm going to say. Let me see what you do. I wouldn't go. I would rather drop dead. Literally. I would literally, there's no chance in hell I'd ever be seen with JD Vance. God, give me a break. Just give me a break. Yeah, usually there's a little bit more laughter, ? In these episodes, but I just don't feel like laughing. What am I gonna laugh about? Right? I don't want to live in a place that we're normalizing being scared. Right? I don't want to live in a place where, like, and this goes for everybody, like, people are like, listen, like, if you were so critical of like the Biden, like, I'm not even saying that like these Democratic candidates are like the best, right? You should be allowed to speak out and speak up against things that you don't like. Like, that's an American right. We should not live in a place where we are fearful to speak out against injustice. I refuse to live in an America where people are afraid to speak out for things that they think are not right and wrong. I refuse. This is just not right, everybody. But that's just the end of the episode for today. I just want to all the people who are just so frustrated. I just want you to know I share in your frustration. I wish there was more I could do. I'm going to do everything that I can. And I'm just, as an American, I am so proud when I see the people who are in the streets and who are protesting and who are speaking up. I am so proud, because that is what being an American is about, is standing up for your neighbor and what's right and being unafraid. That's what I think being an American is all about. And so I will, I'll leave you with that. And on that note, if you'd like to call or text the podcast, please go ahead. You can leave anything, any sort of questions you want, any sort of whatever. Hopefully next week's episode will be a little bit more lighthearted. I'll be packing to go to Italy with JD Vance. Why is he going? So stupid. Anyway, when we get ready to go I'm going to do my best to start, I don't know. I do my best to start what? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm fucking saying. Whatever. What fucking ever. Okay. And they're using all these Nazi and white supremacist talking points too. Like, it's right in front of your face. I don't get it. Okay. Anyway, if you'd like to call or text the podcast hotline, you can. That number is 310-909-7117. Please do. Yeah, sorry that the only thing I talked about that wasn't this like bullshit going on was that fucking Tyson chicken tender, which was awful. Soppy, wet breading. Like, it was so disgusting. Oh, so I'm never going to get it again. Terrible. Horrible. Anyway, that number is 310-909-7117. I'm Adam Rippon, and these have been my intrusive thoughts.